What is the connection between Hunter's laptop, classified documents, and Ukraine? Finally, the smoking gun.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Worldview Truth. This is what we now know. The FBI contacted Twitter to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story and Hunter Biden's dealings with foreign governments. Miranda Devine of the New York Post broke a story yesterday that has shed light on Hunter Biden's laptop and the classified documents that have been found in Biden's possession. On April 13, 2014, Hunter Biden sent an email to his business partner at Burisma. His name was Devin Archer. And in that email appears to be classified information from the State Department. Yesterday, Tucker Carlson said this on Fox News.
So in the case of Joe Biden, what exactly was in those classified documents that he took home? The entire story, the question of whether it's a big deal or no big deal at all, hangs on that question. What was in the documents? Why can't you tell us? Well, as of tonight, no one has told us, so we don't know. But thankfully, Miranda Devine of the New York Post may have brought us a little closer to the answer. So she analyzed the documents that we do have, the ones found on Hunter Biden's famous laptop. And on that laptop, she found a remarkable email, an email the Justice Department has never shown to the public, despite the fact its agents have had it for years. And the document that Miranda Devine found indicates that Hunter Biden had classified information in his possession. Almost certainly that came from his father, then the vice president. And that he used that information to make piles of money for the Biden family while working at a fake job in Ukraine. That's what it shows. So if there's an actual scandal at the core of this classified document story, here it is. So here are the details. On April 13th, 2014, Hunter Biden sent an email to his business partner at Burisma, Devin Archer. Now, he sent this a week before his father, the vice president, flew to Ukraine to meet with Ukraine's prime minister. In the email, Hunter Biden composed a detailed memo with nearly 24 data points about the political and strategic situation on the ground in Ukraine. What's so immediately striking, and Miranda Devine pointed this out, having read the entire laptop, is that this email bears no resemblance to anything else we have that Hunter Biden has ever written. In fact, it sounded like something produced by the State Department. There's no question that Hunter Biden used classified materials to assemble this email. Listen carefully. Quote, "The strategic value is to create a land bridge for RU to Crimea," he writes at one point. Notice he uses the diplomatic abbreviation for Russia, RU, because he's in the know. Quote, "That won't directly affect Burisma Holdings, but it will limit future UK exploration and utilization of offshore opportunities in particular. It will also," Hunter Biden added, quote, "further destabilize the UK nationally and for whatever government is in power, and the US will respond with even stronger sanctions. Those sanctions will threaten the tenuous support of the EU, which does not have the political will to incur steep energy prices."
This email from Hunter Biden goes on to say, basically, I'm going to reiterate what it says, those sanctions will threaten the tenuous support of the EU, which does not have the political will to incur steep energy price increases. Here's the problem with this. First of all, in all the different emails that is on Hunter Biden's laptop, the way that the things are worded are not worded anywhere similar to this. This is not Hunter Biden's wording or assessment. This appears to come from a State Department classified document is what this appears to come from. The FBI has had this document or Hunter's laptop for over 2 years. They have these emails. They have this information. And they have not done anything about it for over 2 years. And I suspect they wouldn't have done anything about it until Twitter came out with what they came out with, and then documents were found at Joe Biden's house, which Hunter Biden had total access to, including the ones in the vet that Hunter Biden has been seen driving. And in that same laptop, Hunter Biden discusses to make sure that money is set aside for the big guy. And don't forget, the Ukraine prosecutor was investigating Biden's son and his company, Burisma, and was fired at Biden's request after threatening to withhold $1 billion in aid.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others, to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid at the time.
And then this is how Joe Biden answers when he's questioned about classified information that they found.
Okay. Classified material next to your Corvette. What were you thinking?
Let me, I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage, okay? So it's not like you're sitting out in the street.
So
but anyway,
was in a locked garage.
Yes, as well as my Corvette. But as I said earlier this week, people know I take classified documents and classified material seriously. I also said we're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review. As part of that process, my lawyers reviewed other places where documents from my time as vice president were stored, and they finished the review last night. They discovered a small number of documents of classified markings in storage areas and file cabinets in my home and my personal library. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn Center. The Department of Justice was immediately, as was done, the Department of Justice was immediately notified, and the lawyers arranged for the Department of Justice to take possession of the document. So we're going to see all this unfold. I'm confident. Thank you very much.
So since the FBI was intricately involved in squashing the Hunter Biden story over 2 years ago, and President Biden just said that he is fully cooperating with the Justice Department, what does that even mean? And is that even something that we can have any faith in, that the Justice Department is going to do anything about this or even investigate it?
I'm Kristen Welker in Washington, where the Biden administration appears to be in damage control mode as it faces mounting questions and frustrations about the classified documents found at Mr. Biden's D.C. office and Delaware home, which are now the subject of a special counsel investigation. The White House currently finds itself tangled in a PR nightmare, having to balance an ongoing criminal investigation with calls for more transparency after a week of rolling disclosures about what was discovered, where it was found, and when. For the first time, the White House counsel's office held a call with reporters today to try to address some of those questions, but they provided little in the way of new information. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre faced questions about her own credibility, as well as the president's confidence in his team at this afternoon's briefing.
On Friday, you stood here, though, and were asked about his documents issued by our account some 18 times. At that point, the president's lawyers had found these 5 additional pages of classified documents. So did you not know on Friday that those documents had been found when you were at the podium, or are you being directed by someone to not be forthcoming on this issue?
I have been forthcoming from this podium. What I said yes to was what the statement at the time that we all had. Right, you all had the statement, and I was repeating what the council was sharing at that time.
Right. Comes after the president, for a 5th day in a row today, chose not to answer shouted questions from reporters. This time during an Oval Office appearance alongside the Prime Minister of the Netherlands.
Sir, will you commit to speak to the special counsel?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you. The poll is over.
This is what we also know, that a vice president nor a senator has any authority whatsoever to have in possession classified documents unless they are viewed within a sensitive compartment information facility, also known as a SCIF. Just to give you an overview of these SCIFs, they can be actually a portable unit. Military has these at times, or it's a permanent facility. And the purpose of it is to protect sensitive information such as classified information. These SCIFs protect any information from going out from it that is of sensitive material. They prevent any recording, photographic, electronic media devices. It also prevents any type of electronic devices and or signals from going outside of the building. A president of the United States has the authority and the ability to declassify information. A vice president nor a senator has the right to do that or the authority. Some of the classified information that has been found in Joe Biden's possession or his offices, facilities, or houses were classified information back when he was actually a senator as well. An article put out by the New York Post, actually by Isabel Vincent, it's titled "How Joe Biden Went from One of the Poorest in Congress to a Millionaire." It goes on to state that in 2016, in Joe Biden's 2016 personal financial disclosure form, he claimed about $780,000 and about $1.6 million in liabilities. But mysteriously, with a little help from his son Hunter and his brother James, his wife earned $11 million. So he went from $780,000 with a $1.6 million liability to earnings of $11 million. The new Congress is not only tasked to investigate the Hunter Biden laptop, the role of the FBI in that, and other social media organizations, but they're also now tasked to investigate classified documents, how they got there, what they were being used for, and the relationship that Hunter Biden had with those classified documents, with the emails that is clearly on his laptop that was referring to what appears to be State Department information that would be considered classified. And then there's this.
Did you and your father ever discuss Ukraine?
No. As I said, the only time was after a news account, and it wasn't a discussion in any way. There's no but to this, no.
When he said, "I hope you know what you're doing," what did he think you were doing?
Well, he read the press reports that I joined the board of Burisma, which was a Ukrainian natural gas company. And there's been a lot of misinformation about me, not about my dad. Nobody buys that, but it buys this idea that I was unqualified to be on the board.
What were your qualifications to be on the board of Burisma?
Well, I was vice chairman of the board of Amtrak for 5 years. I was the chairman of the board of the UN World Food Program. I was a lawyer for Boies Schiller Flexner, one of the most prestigious law firms countries in the world.
You didn't have any extensive knowledge about natural gas or Ukraine itself, though.
No, but I think that I had as much knowledge as anybody else that was on the board.
If your last name wasn't Biden, do you think you would have been asked to be on the board of Burisma?
I don't know. Probably not. I don't think that there's a lot of things that would have happened in my life that if my last name wasn't Biden.
Why did you leave the board in April?
It's a 5-year term.
And you chose not to
I chose
continue.
not to. Yeah.
Why?
I think it's pretty obvious why.
This is your opportunity to say why.
Well, because this is what becomes a distraction, because I have to sit here and answer these questions. And so that's why I've committed that I won't serve on any boards or I won't work directly for any foreign entities when my dad becomes president.
Do you regret being on the board to begin with?
No, I don't regret being on the board. What I regret is not taking into account that there would be a Rudy Giuliani and a president of the United States that would be listening to this ridiculous conspiracy idea.
We'll be right back.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Worldview Truth. So the Biden clan went from one of the poorest senators in the Senate to, after he become vice president, to one of the richest. Where do you get all that money from? And we could also talk about the business dealings with Russia, the business dealings with China, why those classified documents were at the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement, which China heavily funds the University of Pennsylvania. It's also found that in 2017, Biden was paid $540,000 for his role in the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement. The D.C. think tank is where the classified documents were found November prior to the midterm elections. Also noted that Hunter Biden joined Burisma Holdings, it's the Ukrainian company, it's the largest private gas provider, in 2014 with a monthly salary of $80,000 a month. It appears that Joe Biden was supplying Hunter Biden with classified information to feed foreign entities for money. This is Randy Osborne with Worldview Truth. God bless. Worldview Truth.